once you have your pattern printed out right here, you want to separate the instruction sheets and work on taping together your pattern pieces. You're going to need some clear tape, and you're going to line them out. 1, 2, 1. So here's the page numbers. 1, 2, 3, like that. 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so you want them to look like the diagram that's included on your instruction sheets. It's right there. That's to help you with that. When you put your pages together, let's just start with 1 and 2. You want to line them right next to each other. Don't overlap. Don't put anything on top of anything. Just line up. Make sure the tops and bottoms edges are lined up carefully. And you can see that the circle is going to go together right there. And then you can start taping. You're just going to use some paper scissors. Don't use your fabric scissors for this part. Let's cut in there. And cut around the biggest circle. That's for your main donut piece. Cut the center out. We don't want to put a slice in it. We do want to keep it in a circle. Let's just fold that and start there. Now we're ready to pin it in place on our main donut fabric. So what I'm going to do, so you got a big piece. You could do one at a time if you're comfortable with that. That's fine. You have time to do that. So if you want to do just one at a time, you can do it that way. But I am going to see if I can fold mine and do 2 at once. Okay, looks like it just fits. If you can pull your fabric just a little tiny bit to get it to fit, so that actually looks better. So I'm going to pin all the way around, and I'm going to make sure my pins don't stick off the edges. They need to be on the paper so that I can cut around without bumping into pins. So here's how I'm going to pin them. And I start on this side, go across here. Okay, then go to this side. Right there. Go to this side, and I just kind of go back and forth so that they're evenly distributed. You really want to hold it down. So I'm going to do a few more. And then I'll do the inside. But if you look, I stop and I make sure it's flat every so often. I don't want things to start bunching up. So it's just a constant thing of making sure it's flat, holding it in place while pinning it, and turn it if you want. Just kind of keep it from starting to get any, you don't want it to kind of bubble up like this. You want to make sure it's flat on your fabric. All right, now you want your fabric scissors. cut out the middle, we do want it to be a complete circle because we want to make the little donut holes when we're done. So you want to cut along this edge, and we're going to do it the same way we did the pattern. Let's find it. Let's find a good folding spot right there. Very carefully in there. Good. We got to start. Ooh, we got to start right there. So let's work from there. All right. Those are great. Set those aside. Our main donut is cut and ready. So we're just going to move that aside. And now we're going to cut the pattern again, but on this line for the icing circle. If you're going to make a bunch of these, then you should print out 2 sets. One circle for your main one, and then print out another one and use it as your smaller. That way you'll have both the icing and the outside in separate pieces. But for this purpose, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it on that line. In this example, I'm gonna make chocolate icing for mine. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna pin it in place just like you did on the main ones. It'll be easier because this is just one layer. So we're just gonna pin and cut. So to give our icing some fun shape, so it kind of looks like it was drizzled on, you want to fold it in half using step 1 as your guide. Going to fold it in half, make sure that's even. There, okay. And we're just going to do a couple of big wavy cuts. Let's see, 1, 2, let's do 3. 1, 2, 3. You can do smaller cuts like this. Just remember, you're going to have to sew along the cut. So if they're little, you're going to be doing a lot of teeny tiny back and forth sewing. So I like the big wavy ones. No. I like it. Let's try it on one of these. Yep, it's looking cute. I like the shape of it. Okay, so we're going to work from here. All right, now we are on step 2 right here. This, I use strawberry icing in my picture. We're using chocolate icing here. You want to just take one of your main ones. Don't stack them on. Just get one out of the way so you don't accidentally pin them all together. And then line it up. We're going to start by lining these edges up. Make sure that you're not pinning it like this. They need to meet. So don't overwork it, but just pick one edge, start there. Oh, and make sure you've got your fabric so the right side is facing up, the pretty side that you want everyone to see when you're done. Some of them don't have a right or wrong side. This one's a little nicer on this side, a little fluffier, so that's going to be my right side up. So I just want to line the circle up so that I can see that the edges are together. To sew our icing in place. I want to get it under here, so I'm just going to slide this in, and I'm actually going to go across to this side so that I can start at the edge of the brown fabric and see the guide. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to move the needle over a little bit. I'm going to use the 1/2 inch seam allowance guide, but I'll change my width maybe down to 1.5 just to get my needle a little further over. And that's going to be about it. So straight stitch and go nice and slow, and you're just going to spin it slowly. So I just stop every so often. This is because it's a huge curve, just take your time. There we are, do a back stitch. And there's the center circle. Looks good. Okay, now time to do, we're gonna just go ahead and do the outside edge. And this time we're just gonna set the presser foot right up next to the edge of the chocolate icing. And just leave the width right there between the 1 and the 2. That'll be fine. It'll be close to the edge. And you're just gonna go around the edge. It's a curve, so I like to just pretend I'm driving on a curved road and the edge of my car, the edge of the presser foot, is staying at the edge of the icing the whole way. So, little back stitch. Time for the fun part. Time to decorate with our sprinkles. So I'm going to use 10 sprinkles on mine. You can use more. You get to decide, or you can use less. But I'm just going to put them just random. I don't want them to go above either stitch line. So I don't want them to go there, and I don't want them to go there. So they need to go between your stitch lines. Now we're going to pin them in place with just one pin. Make sure you pin them crosswise. You don't want to pin them. Don't do this, because when you start sewing, your machine will hit this and push it in and it'll be stuck. You'll have to take everything out to unstick this. So just do it sideways, just like the picture shows. This will be so much easier. That way, as you're sewing through, you just pull these out and move on to the next one. Okay, that's ready to go. We're just gonna do a straight stitch from this end to this end. When you're sewing it, it's very important that your stitch is all the way at the end and ends all the way at this end. Back stitch here, sew straight down to here, and back stitch here. Looks great. Time to just clean up my threads. Time to start putting it together. This is step 5 on your instructions, and you want to have the one you just did, have it facing you, facing upward. There it is. We're going to pin these right sides together. So let me take this. And on this one, I'm going to say that's the right side because it's fuzzy the same way that one is. And we are going to place them right sides together. So this one goes right on top of this one, covers up all your icing and sprinkles because we're going to turn it right side out once we're done. So we're going to start by pinning around the outside edge, just like in step 6, because we're going to sew the outside edges together first and then flip it right side out. So just grab one area and make sure they're together. Make sure you do not have anything like this, or that you can't see the one underneath and they're like this. So make sure you've got those edges together and pin them. got it lined up next to my presser foot, back stitch, and I'm just going to spin it as I go. Be sure to stop every few seconds and check to make sure your layers are together, not coming apart. When it's time to turn it right side out, first I check my edges just to make sure I didn't miss any spots. So it looks good. And then all you need to do is reach inside, pull everything out. Like that. Let's kind of push those edges. Okay, looking cute. Now we've got to pin it here, and we really have to watch to make sure we get all 3 layers. We've got the icing, the top fabric, and the bottom fabric. And we want to pin them, making sure they're all together. I can see all 3 are right together. All right, we do need to leave an opening of about 4 inches so that we can stuff this. So we're going to zigzag around this edge, leaving this unsewn. What is important to remember is that when you start and finish, be really good about your back stitches, because we're going to pop this open and stretch it and reach in there to put the stuffing in. And if you have not back stitched well here and here at the beginning and end, it will just start, the whole thing will start opening up. So we're going to start sewing right here in this spot. All right, set your machine to zigzag. On this one, it's 3, the zigzag stitch. I'm going to put it at 1.5 between the 1 and the 2, and for the length. For the width, keep it at 5. We want it nice and wide, and then we're going to get ready to go. Now it is time to put the stuffing in. So open where you left it open there, and just grab a handful, get in there and move it around to the far side. So kind of stuff the far side first, because it'll be easy to stuff the one near you, but you want to get around to the furthest parts first and then work your way back. Final step is to hand stitch this part closed. So here's the hand needle. I cut about 30 inches of thread. Better too much than not enough. I'm going to thread the needle. Get your tails together. Okay. Ah, gonna keep my tails together. I'm gonna try that method I linked to. Make sure you watch that video for tying a knot, which works like a dream. There it is right there. Okay. Let's cut a smaller tail for it. So with the knot, I always like to hide it inside. So my first stitch is going to be inside right there, just to hide the tail. And then come out there. There we go. Now I'm just doing a whip stitch, which means I'm going to go in this side. And if you look, I'm going through all 3 layers, the chocolate icing and the 2 donut layers. Gonna come around, pull it till it stops, move up a little bit and do the same thing. And move up a little bit, maybe a 1/4 of an inch at the most. Don't make your stitches too far apart. And make sure you're just putting it in right here. Don't do a big stitch over here. Do a nice small shallow one, about 1/4 of an inch in front of the last one. And just pull it till it stops. Make sure you're going through all 3 layers. Hold on to it and pull it till it stops. And then we're going to do that all the way to the very end where that last back stitching is on the zigzag. Okay, now we're going to take this last bit to tie a knot. So go in like you did before, but don't pull it all the way. So pull it just part of the way. See this circle right here? Put your needle through it and go through it one more time, and then pull it. Keep your finger in it so that the knot goes all the way to the bottom. Pull it tight. There it is, right there. That's it. So it's done.